I'm on my way to Brisbane BMW in Fortitude Valley to pick up my special guest today. She has been in real estate for 18 years. She's been involved in over 4,000 transactions. But something that you might not know about her is that she actually used to be a cheerleader for the North Queensland Cowboys. So, let's pick her up. Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you.
What a pleasure this is.
I know, how cool is this?
And what a cool car.
I love it.
It's got gull wing doors. I don't even know how to
We
do
should
it.
practice that.
Okay. No one's ever gotten in the car with water before.
Anyone who knows me knows that I'm full of energy. So
don't-
could you
you
imagine
don't
me on
need it.
caffeine? Nah, too much.
Should we go for a drive?
Let's go.
Apparently, the guy said it's a supercar.
For Super Us.
Yeah, for Super Us. Well, speaking of super, you're a super agent. Like, you're at the forefront of personal branding.
Well, I've always believed in branding and personal branding. So
Yep.
that's really something that I'm super passionate about. And I think that comes from my background, you know, particularly when I had my own agency and we were doing a lot of off-the-plan selling and project marketing.
Yep.
Because each project actually had its own standalone
Brand.
Well, I also did PR at uni
Okay.
and media studies, so I always sort of inherently understood that. We talk a lot about a business within a business, but
Yep.
really today we need to be a brand within a brand. People want to do business with the individual and not necessarily the corporation. I think
Yep.
we've moved away from that thinking in the 80s. You know, this kind of faceless entity is something that people don't really, there's no heart-to-heart connection, and
Yep.
I think that's one of our problems that we have as an industry. We've
Yep.
just made it all very transactional.
Yeah.
But that's not what society wants any longer for any kind of business, really.
Yeah. I know you had your own agency. What did you
Yeah.
do before that? Can
Yeah.
you share some of your journey with us?
I sort of was managing retail stores for Wallace Bishop Jewelers. You know, one of the other sales managers left and started working in real estate. Sherry, you need to come and do this. I'm making all this money. I was like, this sounds awesome. And so I was like, you know, I could actually do this. I literally just called up Dave Beard from Property Direct and said, Dave, can I come and meet with you? And
You're brand new at this stage.
brand new. Finally, when I was allowed to sell, it was like, I think I did 6 sales in a week, and it was kind of
Wow.
like, it was all on. So worked at Remax. I worked at Remax for a year. I had built a team, and then I opened my own chain of agencies. Yeah.
How long did you work for an agency for before you started your own?
Property Direct until 2003, and then I worked at Remax from 2003 until 2004, and then opened my business in 2004.
What was the thinking that drove you to start your own business so
Well,
quickly?
I'm a driven person.
Yeah.
Anyone who knows that
Yeah,
knows
really?
that about
Are
me.
you really? Oh.
And I always think there's a better way of doing things.
Yep,
It's just
right.
who I am and how I'm programmed.
Is there a better way of doing these interviews? Do you want to give us any tips?
No, this is your show. Thanks for having me. Like you, I had really humble beginnings. You know, having a single mum and
Yep.
all of those sorts of things. I wanted more from my life, and I wanted to make the most out of my life. If I worked and put my head down and worked really, really hard and made some money, that I would have a free life. It was definitely hard running my own business.
Okay.
I was a great salesperson,
Yeah.
but I really didn't know any of the business side. I was extremely young when I started my agency, and I had a lot of people in my business who were significantly older than me. I didn't want them to feel that I was micromanaging them, so I gave them too much leeway. And at that particular point, I wanted to annihilate everybody, and my way was the best way. Realistically, I learned that there is enough for everybody.
Yeah.
And but at that point in time, that was really honestly how I felt. So I kind of learnt how to mellow out over time, and
Yeah.
also from having some huge losses too. You
Yeah,
know, where
yeah.
learning, oh, okay, well, I'm not the only one who's kind of going through difficult or challenging times.
What's some of like the greatest lessons that you learned from some of your knocks?
Just learning to be humble,
Yeah.
and you know, as somebody who came from, you know, very, very meager sort of beginnings, I didn't really understand what could go down in the marketplace.
Yeah, right.
You know, we were on site at 10 different locations, from Cairns all the way down to Byron Bay, selling projects and selling off the
Wow.
plan, a lot of coastal properties.
Yep.
And the market suddenly changed. They didn't want the holiday home because it was like, we're just trying to hold on to what we've
The
actually
home we
got.
have,
That's
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Suddenly going from making a lot of sales to literally nothing overnight.
Wow.
And then having, you know, people owe you a lot of money that just never pay. You know, having to sell all of my own properties because I had amassed quite a nice kind of portfolio at this point. You can only keep it afloat for so long. But I learned that in business, you can learn a lot out of the losses. I learned a lot out of what not to do,
Yep.
in addition to what to do.
Yeah.
I lived a very high life, but it was all a house of cards really at the end. I think it's the simplicity that I really appreciate and that I'm happiest most.
Because you've obviously made the transition from being an agent to a business owner to now mainly focusing on coaching?
With my business, it grew quite tremendously,
Yeah.
and then basically lost it all in the
Yep.
GFC and
Yep.
had to start from scratch.
Yep.
So I got back on the tools and started selling really in 2011.
Okay.
And most agents would know me as a high profile agent selling in Brisbane,
Yep.
the city.
Yep.
But you're right, for the last 2 years I've been working as a coach.
Yep.
It was always my plan, even when I got back on the tools,
Okay.
to actually be a coach.
Okay.
I actually really love sales training, and I
Yeah.
love working with businesses and business coaching.
A lot of people become real shit coaches, but you've actually done it really well.
But that's because I actually understand the tools. I understand what you need to say, when you need to say it.
What do you need to do if you're starting from zero, or if you're maybe not doing as well as what you'd like to be doing?
All it takes is one listing,
Yep.
and you can go from zero to hero very quickly. You need to dominate digital,
Yep.
dominate the marketplace in terms of physicality, and
Yep.
then dominate the letterbox. I've got a free 51-point checklist on my website. Go
Yep.
grab it. It's basically a career-changing list. It's not one or two things that's going to make a difference.
Yep.
It's literally all of them combined together in the recipe.
So number one is own your marketplace physically, own the digital space. A great piece of advice that I got from you was Google yourself.
Yeah, the letterbox is really important. So, if you're going to be doing letters, don't do like another just listed, just sold under contract. Like, they're boring.
Yep.
There's no real value in them.
Yep.
You've got to...
Value's the key, right? Add
Absolutely.
value.
You've got to share a story. So tell the story of the sale that's
You
already
could
gone up.
do share a store instead of share a story.
Also being yourself and having some personality around it,
Yep.
instead of just being this perfect polished notion of an agent. Let's face it, people don't like real estate agents, so why are we trying to be perfect like one? Second thing that you can do is target the on the markets.
Yep.
Look, I'm a big believer in it. I think in your marketplace,
I agree.
if you're a professional agent, you're going to expect your listings to be targeted.
If you've had it for 90 days and you haven't sold it, another agent genuinely believes that they can sell that property and they sell it, there's nothing wrong with that at all.
Sometimes it's positioning of the sellers, and the sellers just aren't quite ready to accept the market.
Sometimes.
Sometimes it
Yep.
is the fact that there just hasn't been a buyer. Let's say it's a really special property. It might be a bit more niche. If you have had the property on the market for a period of time, you really need to dig deep and go in hard, because why else would you spend 70% of your time not to actually get paid? Do the extra 30
Absolutely.
and get it done.
Yeah. Hey, so what have you seen in now your coaching career be some of the biggest mistakes, 2 or 3 biggest mistakes that agents are doing around Australia?
Let's talk a lot about social media, which obviously I'm really well known for. Still a lot of agents are just going, oh, it's something that I need to do, but I don't have time to do it, so I'll employ somebody. There is a disconnect in between their true self and what's actually been shown in the digital world.
Yep.
And it's too kind of corporate. I think the other thing is most agents are having the same year over and over and over again. When we see agents building teams, what they're doing is it's all about the GCI.
Yep.
So I want to be $1 million writer plus. So when they're being $1 million writers, quite often the lead agent might actually be the one who's taking home the least amount of money.
Yeah.
They've got all the risk.
Yep.
Yes, they've got the recognition, but they've actually basically got very little reward.
Yep.
The reality is that if you want to be a career agent, you can actually only hustle and grind for so long before it grinds you down. So you really need to put these systems and structures in place, and you need to build a life where you actually can be free.
Yeah.
Oh, this car.
How much fun is that? So now what are some of the best things that you've seen agents around Australia doing?
There's a number of agents that are really utilising social media quite well, and
Yep.
I think really leveraging their CRMs and their databases.
Yep.
The privacy law is changing where we can't actually go and get all this data and phone
Yep.
numbers and owners' details.
Yep.
We need to have that information, and then once we've actually captured the information, we need to engage in it.
What is your engagement strategy with those people over 10 years so they don't just unsubscribe?
Yeah, well, I think you've actually got to provide real value. So
Yep.
you're really keen to know what's happening in the marketplace or in their area.
So imagine if you could have every single contact that you've ever met in one place. And then have a contact management system to keep in contact with them all.
Pretty much do.
Yeah, no brainer. Right? You could go back to day one, knowing everything you know now, and give yourself one piece of advice. What would it be?
You know what? I don't know that I would change anything, to be truthful with you, just
Yep.
simply for the fact that I sometimes need to learn things the hard way. People can't tell me.
Yep.
Everybody has their own adversity that they need to overcome. So I think actually having that awareness that you're not the only one with a problem or going through a problem, perhaps if you open up and share that
Yep.
story, that you'll find that you're not alone.
Yeah, that's been amazing, Sherry. Thank you so much.
Thank you.